You know, I never thought a single morning could unravel everything you believe about your family. It started like any other day, the rain tapping softly against the cracked windows, the dim light of dawn filtering into the living room, and the smell of old wood lingering in the air. But that morning, that morning was different. I remember it as if it were etched in my bones. Something was waiting for me, something I couldn't have imagined, not in my wildest dreams, and certainly not something I was ready for. I was humming an old lullaby while fixing a cup of tea in my trembling hands when my granddaughter, Lily, came running into the kitchen. She had that look. Eyes wide, breath quick, like she had stumbled upon a secret she wasn't supposed to know. "Grandma," she whispered, almost afraid her own voice might wake the shadows in the house. "Come see this." Curiosity pricked me like a cold wind. I followed her to the attic. Now you must understand, our attic has always been a place of mystery. Old trunks, forgotten letters, and dusty photographs stacked like tiny time bombs. Shadows crawled along the corners, flickering in the soft candlelight she'd brought, the flame trembling like it sensed what we were about to uncover. Lily pointed to an old trunk, its leather peeling and rust crawling along the locks. I found something," she said, her voice quivering. I knelt beside her and carefully lifted the lid. Inside there were a few letters, a cracked porcelain doll, and my heart stopped, a photograph I had not seen in decades. It was my late husband standing next to a woman I didn't recognize. And yet, something about her eyes, the curve of her smile, it felt familiar, too familiar. My hand shook, not from age, but from the cold clawing of fear. "Grandma, who is she?" Lily's voice was soft but urgent. I couldn't answer. My mind raced. Memories I had long buried began to claw their way out. Fragments of whispers in the dark, footsteps in the hallway late at night, a shadow in the corner of my bedroom when I was young. Could it be? I swallowed hard. I needed to know, but my heart screamed to stop, to close the trunk, to forget. Do you ever feel that moment where your entire world tilts, and you're left questioning everything you thought was true? That's what this felt like. And it was only the beginning. I carefully picked up the photograph, brushing away the dust. The woman's eyes seemed to follow me, as if trying to tell me a story I wasn't ready to hear. The edges of the photo were yellowed, curling, whispering secrets of decades past. I remember thinking, why now? Why show itself to me after all these years? I turned to Lily, trying to mask the tremor in my voice. "Do you know anything about this woman?" I asked. But she just shook her head, biting her lip. And that's when I noticed it, a folded note tucked behind the photo. My fingers felt clammy as I unfolded it. The handwriting. Oh, the handwriting was unmistakable. It was my late husband's. "If she ever finds this, tell her." I tried to protect her from the truth. I froze. My knees nearly gave out beneath me. Tried to protect me? From what? The attic suddenly felt colder, darker, the shadows stretching like fingers toward me. A faint creak echoed above us. Was it the wind, or something else moving in the house? I looked down at Lily, her little hand clutching mine, and I asked you, my dear viewers, have you ever stumbled upon a secret that made your blood run cold? Something you knew you shouldn't be seeing, yet you couldn't look away? Tell me in the comments, what would you do if you found something from the past that shook your family to its core? And while you're thinking, if you're enjoying this story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. There's so much more, and I promise you don't want to miss it. I slowly lifted the next item in the trunk, a leather-bound diary. The smell of old pages and candle smoke filled my nostrils, and with each page I turned, the house seemed to lean closer, listening. There were whispers, names, dates, half-written sentences. Footsteps in my memory echoed. My husband, late at night, moving silently, talking to someone I never knew. I could almost hear his voice, but just out of reach. The diary held stories I had never known. Hidden meetings, secret letters, a second life that had somehow remained invisible to me. My heart ached and yet pounded with the thrill of uncovering the truth. Each clue, each shadow seemed to be telling me, keep going, but be careful. As the rain tapped harder against the window, the candle flickered, and the attic seemed to breathe. I realized then that some truths are buried not just to protect the past, but to protect us from what happens when that past comes alive. And as I held that photograph, I felt the room tighten around me, like the walls themselves were pressing, whispering secrets long hidden. My mind reeled with questions. Who is she? What did he try to protect me from? And why now, after all these years, am I meant to see it? I want you to imagine the fear, the shaking, the almost unbearable curiosity. That is what I felt, standing there in the dim attic light, holding a photograph that could unravel the very foundation of my family. But my dear, this is only the beginning. There are footsteps still echoing through the halls of our memories. There are whispers waiting in the cracks of the floorboards. And what we discover next, well, it will haunt me until my last breath. I remember clutching that diary as if it were a lifeline, my fingers trembling, the candlelight quivering across the cracked wooden floor. Lily stood beside me, silent, her little body pressed against mine. Outside, the rain pounded harder, thrashing against the roof like the past itself was trying to claw its way into the present. Every shadow in the attic seemed alive, stretching and shrinking as though they were waiting for me to uncover what they had been guarding for decades. The first page I opened was dated back to a time before I even met my husband. The handwriting was meticulous, yet there were hurried, almost frantic notes in the margins. My eyes darted across the words, heart-hammering. The entries spoke of meetings, secret letters, and someone else. Someone he had kept hidden from me. My chest tightened as a memory I had long tried to forget surfaced. A cold winter night when I had woken to faint footsteps in the hall, and the door to his study was always closed. That night I had shrugged it off as imagination, but now I knew. There was a folded piece of paper wedged between the pages. I hesitated before unfolding it. The ink had faded to a smoky gray, but the words jumped out like daggers. If she ever discovers this, everything must be explained. It's not safe for her to know yet. The past cannot follow her. She must be protected. My hands shook. Protected from what? A chill ran down my spine, and I swore I could hear soft whispers, as if the attic itself was speaking in the language of shadows. Lily clutched my sleeve, her eyes wide. "Grandma, what is it?" she asked, voice barely audible over the rain. I swallowed hard, forcing calm into my quivering voice. Someone he tried to keep hidden," I murmured. "But we need to know. We have to see the rest." I turned the pages slowly, savoring the suspense, each word a tiny spark igniting the darkness around us. There were entries about secret meetings in abandoned houses, strange letters with mysterious seals, and notes about someone watching, always watching. My mind raced, trying to piece together the puzzle, but every clue only raised more questions. Suddenly, I noticed a small key taped inside the back cover. Rusty, small, and unassuming. My heart skipped a beat. Key to what? A hidden drawer? A locked chest? The attic was full of old trunks, but none that I could recall had a lock that matched this key. The air grew thick, heavy with anticipation. Even the candle seemed to flicker faster, as if urging me forward. I turned to Lily and whispered, "This key, it's going to lead us somewhere. Are you ready?" She nodded, gripping my hand tighter. Together we descended the attic stairs, the wood creaking ominously beneath our feet. Shadows danced along the walls, stretching unnaturally, and I could swear I heard faint footsteps echo behind us. My mind told me it was only the house, only the wind, but my heart knew better. Something, or someone was following our every move. We arrived at the study. The door had always been locked, and now I knew why. I inserted the key into the rusty lock, holding my breath. It clicked. The sound was deafening in the silent house, a sudden crack in time itself. I slowly opened the door. Dust swirled into the air, illuminated by the candle I carried. The room smelled of old paper, candle wax, and a faint hint of something metallic, blood, perhaps from memories long buried. Inside, a desk sat under a shaft of dim light, cluttered with more papers, a cracked photo frame, and a small wooden box. I approached the box, the key trembling in my hand as if it shared my fear. My heart pounded so loudly I was sure it would wake the house itself. I lifted the lid. Inside, letters, photographs, and a locket. The photographs were shocking. My husband with the same mysterious woman from the attic photo, but in places I had never known he visited, doing things that made my stomach twist in knots. Lily gasped, and I pulled her close. "I know, my dear. I know," I whispered, feeling the weight of years crash down on me. There was also a letter addressed to me. My hand shook as I unfolded it. The words seemed to crawl off the page. "My dearest love, if you are reading this, then the past has caught up. There are things I cannot tell you in life, but the truth will be revealed slowly. Watch closely. Trust no one blindly. And remember, not everything is as it seems. A shiver ran down my spine. The house seemed to groan, and I heard a whisper, faint, almost imperceptible. She must know, she must see. I froze. Was it the wind? Or something else? Do you feel it too, my dear viewers? That sensation that someone or something is just beyond the shadows, watching, waiting? That creeping dread that something you uncover could change everything you thought you knew? I paused, letting the candlelight flicker over the papers. And here's where I must ask you. If you found a secret your loved one tried to protect for decades, would you open it or leave it buried forever? Comment below, I need to know what you'd do. And while you're thinking, if this story is keeping your heart racing, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. The truth is only getting darker, and what comes next? You won't believe. I sifted through the letters carefully. One spoke of a hidden room behind the old wardrobe in the master bedroom, a place my husband had never let me enter. Another letter mentioned whispers at midnight, footsteps in the hall, shadows moving where no one should have been. The clues were building like bricks, forming a wall of suspense that I had to climb. I followed the instructions in the letter, taking Lily with me. The wardrobe was massive, ancient, and heavy. I pressed my hand against the back panel and it moved. A hidden latch clicked open. My breath caught in my throat. Behind the wardrobe, a narrow passageway led downward into darkness, faintly smelling of damp earth and old wood. I could hear my own heart pounding louder than the rain outside. Lily squeezed my hand and I whispered, "We must go in together." Each step echoed against stone walls. Shadows twisted unnaturally, and I could swear whispers followed us, murmuring secrets I wasn't ready to hear. At the end of the passageway, we found a small room, barely lit by a single candle still burning as if waiting for us. Inside, more photographs, letters, and something moving in the corner. A shadow? Or a figure? I held my breath, heart racing. The past was alive and it wanted to speak. I looked at Lily and said in a trembling voice, "What we're about to see. It will change everything we thought we knew about our family." The candle flickered as we stepped into the hidden room, its light casting long, trembling shadows across the cracked floor. Lily clutched my hand, her small fingers gripping mine so tightly I could feel her fear mixing with mine. I swallowed hard, forcing my voice to stay calm even as my heart hammered like a drum. "Stay close, my dear, stay close." The room smelled of damp earth and old paper, the kind of smell that carries secrets you weren't meant to uncover. On a small table lay more photographs, letters, and an envelope sealed with wax that had long since cracked. I picked it up carefully, noticing the faint imprint of a rose pressed into the paper, and my breath caught. I recognized that rose. It had been my husband's favorite, the one he always pressed into letters for me decades ago. I broke the seal and unfolded the letter. My hands were trembling so badly the words blurred for a moment. It read, "If you are reading this, then the past has finally come to light. There are things you cannot yet understand, and shadows you were never meant to see. Follow carefully. Trust nothing blindly. The truth hides where the light fears to reach." The words made my blood run cold. Shadows shifted in the corners of the room, though I could see no one. I shivered. I knew then that this was no ordinary secret, no simple family mystery. Something or someone was alive in the darkness, waiting for us to uncover the truth. Lily tugged at my sleeve. "Grandma, there's something moving over there." She pointed toward the far corner, where a shadow seemed to stretch unnaturally, as though it had a life of its own. My eyes narrowed. The candlelight flickered again, and for a brief second I saw a figure, just for a heartbeat, before it vanished behind the walls of the room. My heart raced. I whispered to Lily, "Whatever it is, it's part of this story. We have to see it through." She nodded, though her lips trembled. I moved closer to the table, sifting through the photographs. Each one told a story. My husband with the mysterious woman from before, always careful to remain hidden, always in the shadows. But then my eyes widened. One photo was taken inside our very own house. That room, this very room decades ago. And there, in the photo, I saw a shadow in the corner. A shadow that seemed to be watching, always watching. My breath caught. Was it possible that this hidden room had been here all along? Was it possible that we had been living above secrets too dark to imagine? The thought sent a chill down my spine. I carefully lifted another letter. This one contained names, dates, and addresses, places my husband had visited in secret. And one name stood out. It was a name I had never heard before. A woman whose letters were carefully hidden behind every page of his diary. My stomach twisted. Who was she? And why had my husband gone to such lengths to hide her from me? I felt a presence behind me and turned quickly, but there was nothing. Only the shadows danced along the walls. The candle flickered violently, and I thought I heard whispers, soft, almost imperceptible, like someone breathing secrets into the dark. Do you feel it, my dear viewers? That sense of something watching, something waiting just out of sight? Tell me in the comments, have you ever had the feeling that your house, your very home, was keeping secrets from you? And if this story is keeping you on edge, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. The shadows are only growing darker, and what comes next will leave you breathless. I followed a set of instructions in one of the letters. It led me to a small trapdoor hidden behind an old bookshelf. The key I had found earlier fit perfectly. I hesitated for a moment, feeling the weight of every step I had taken, the fear building in my chest. The door creaked open, revealing a narrow spiral staircase leading downward into darkness. I could hear the faint drip of water echoing from below, and the air smelled of earth and decay. Grandma, do we really have to go down there? Lily whispered. Her voice trembled, but her eyes shone with curiosity. I nodded. Yes, my dear, we have to see the truth. It's waiting for us. We descended slowly, each step groaning under our weight. Shadows stretched along the stone walls, flickering like living things. The further we went, the colder the air became, and I felt as if the house itself was holding its breath, waiting for us to uncover what it had hidden for so long. At the bottom of the staircase we entered a small chamber. Candlelight flickered in sconces along the walls, casting eerie shadows that seemed to move on their own. In the center of the room was a small wooden chest, covered in dust. I knelt beside it, brushing away the years of neglect. Inside more letters, photographs, and a small velvet pouch. My hands trembled as I lifted the pouch. Inside was a locket, delicate and old, with a picture of the mysterious woman tucked inside. Lily gasped. Grandma, who is she? I couldn't answer immediately. The weight of decades pressed down on me, the memories and secrets swirling together like storm clouds. I could hear whispers again, faint but urgent. She must know, she must see. And then just as I was about to put the locket down, I heard it, a footstep. Not upstairs, not in the hall, but here in the chamber. Someone or something was in the room with us. I froze, holding my breath, my heart hammering. Shadows shifted, and for a moment, I thought I saw a figure retreating into the corner. My hand tightened around Lily's and I whispered, "We must be brave, the truth is close." I knew then that whatever secrets my husband had hidden, whatever shadows had haunted this house, they were not done with us. The past had come alive, and it was demanding to be revealed. As I looked at Lily, her eyes wide with fear and curiosity, I realized something. Sometimes the darkest secrets are not just hidden in letters or photographs. They live in the shadows, in the spaces between walls, in the whispers you hear when no one is there. And we had just stepped into their world. My dears, there are moments in life when your breath freezes, not because of fear alone, but because the truth stands right in front of you, waiting, like a shadow you can no longer ignore. That is how I felt, standing in that underground chamber, holding the locket with the picture of the mysterious woman. The candle flames in the sconces flickered sharply, as if something had moved through the room, disturbing the air. Lily tightened her grip on my hand. "Grandma, is she still alive?" she whispered. I couldn't answer. My throat felt dry, my heart pounding against my ribs. I lifted the locket again, staring at the woman's face. She had soft, gentle eyes filled with sadness, like someone who'd lived through storms I could only imagine. And yet, something about her seemed familiar. Something I had felt before but never dared to look at closely. As the candle flickered again, a cold gust brushed against the back of my neck. I turned sharply. The shadows on the wall stretched longer this time, as if bending toward us. I whispered, "Someone was here recently." Lily shivered. "Grandma, the footsteps we heard. Do you think it was her?" "My dear," I murmured, caressing her hand. sometimes the past doesn't stay buried. Sometimes it walks with us. I placed the locket gently inside my pocket and opened the next letter found in the chest. The handwriting was shaky, hurried, almost panicked. She doesn't know the truth. She must never find out. Not until the right time. Someone is watching. Protect her at all costs. Who was watching? I whispered to myself, feeling a chill crawl up my spine. And who was he protecting? As I read further, the letters grew more fragmented. Names crossed out. Dates scratched over. Entire sentences smudged as if someone wiped tears across the pages or blood. Then one particular letter froze me where I stood. They found us. I don't know who told them. If anything happens to me, tell her the truth. She was never supposed to be alone. I pressed a trembling hand against my chest as a deep ache surged through me. Alone? Who was supposed to be with me? Who had been taken away? Or hidden away? I reached deeper into the chest and found a small journal with a broken spine. The first page contained something I could barely breathe reading. To my dear wife, I must tell you what happened before you met me. My mouth went dry. I sank slowly to the floor, opening page after page. The words unraveled like threads from a forgotten tapestry. Pieces of a life my husband had lived before he walked into mine. A woman he had promised to protect. A child they had lost. A tragedy that shattered him so deeply, he vowed never to speak of it again. Lily knelt beside me, whispering, "Grandma, what does it mean?" I closed the journal, swallowing a wave of emotion. "It means your grandfather had a life he never told us about." My voice wavered. A woman he loved, and someone he lost. The chamber grew colder. The shadows seemed to thicken, as though the very air remembered the sorrow written in those pages. Suddenly, a sharp knock echoed through the walls. Lily squeaked and clutched my arm. My breath hitched. That knock wasn't from upstairs. It wasn't from outside. It came from inside. Somewhere behind the stone wall. I held Lily close, whispering, "Stay still. Don't make a sound." Another knock. Slow. Deliberate. Like someone or something was signaling. The candle flames trembled violently. A whisper rushed through the chamber, cold as ice. "She knows." My blood turned to frost. I grabbed the candle and scanned the shadowed corners. "Who's there?" I called, barely above a whisper. Silence. Only the drips of water echoing. Then, a soft creak from the staircase behind us. Footsteps. Light, hesitant but human. I spun around, shielding Lily with my body. "Who's here?" A faint voice drifted down from the darkness above. "Please don't be afraid." My heart froze. The voice was female, soft, broken, trembling like someone who'd lived a lifetime in fear. Lily whispered, "Grandma, is that her?" I felt my pulse in my throat. "Stay behind me." The footsteps came closer, touching each stair one by one, slow and careful. The candlelight shimmered as the shadow of a figure appeared at the top of the stairs. Long hair, small shoulders, hesitating at every step. I held the candle high. "Show yourself." The figure stepped into the dim light. My breath caught. She looked exactly like the woman in the photograph. Older, worn down, but unmistakable. Her eyes, oh, her eyes, held the very same sadness I had seen again and again in every letter. She whispered, voice quivering, "You shouldn't have opened the chest." I couldn't speak. My legs felt weak, my voice lost to the storm raging inside me. She stepped closer, tears glistening in the candlelight. "Your husband. He told me to come back only when you found the truth." The room swayed around me. Lily hid behind me, clinging to my dress. I forced myself to ask, "Who are you?" Her lips trembled. She placed her hand over her heart. "I am the one he couldn't save. The one he tried to protect. The one who was never supposed to return." She took a shaky breath. "And I am connected to you more than you know." My heart erupted into a storm. My breath shattered. Connected how? Who was she to my husband? Who was she to me? And why did she look at me with such painful familiarity? Like someone who had been waiting her entire life for this moment? "Child, come closer. I need you to hear this part clearly because this is the moment everything began to crack open. Like a door that had been quietly rotting from the inside, waiting for one hard push to collapse completely. After finding that strange recording, the one where my own daughter's voice trembled as she whispered my name, My mind felt like a shaking, flickering candle flame. I couldn't even trust my heartbeat anymore. Every corner of the house felt sharper. Every tiny sound felt louder. Every shadow looked like it had been waiting for me. And still, I walked deeper into the truth. Because if I didn't, my family would stay trapped in a lie that had already taken too much from us. I kept playing the tape over and over in my head as I climbed the stairs toward the attic. My fingers traced the shaky outline of the map I'd pulled from that old notebook. A map that shouldn't exist. A map to something my daughter had hidden. Something she didn't want me or anyone to ever find. The rain outside started again, tapping against the windows like impatient fingernails. And as I placed my foot on the first attic step, the house exhaled. I swear it did. A low, tired creak that sounded almost like a warning. But I whispered to myself, "It's okay. It's okay. Go forward." The stairs groaned as I climbed. The higher I went, the colder the air grew. Like the warmth of the entire house stopped where the attic began. The door was half open. Just a sliver. Like someone had slipped inside recently. I pushed it with just 2 fingers. Creawake. The sound slid through the silence like a blade. Inside, the attic looked different from how I remembered it. Boxes had been moved. A suitcase sat open on the floor, half filled. Almost as if someone had been ready to leave in a hurry. My old rocking chair, the one my husband built when our daughter was a baby, was turned toward the dark corner instead of the window. And the moment I saw that, a chill rattled down my spine so hard my breath stuttered. The rocking chair was moving. Just a little. Just enough. Not because of wind, there was none. But because someone had been sitting there seconds ago. I stepped inside. "Hello." My voice felt tiny. The chair kept moving. Slowly. Softly. Back and forth. Back and forth. And that's when I noticed something just beside it. Half hidden under an old quilt. A shoebox. Not an old one. A new one. I knelt down, my fingers trembling, and pulled it toward me. The lid wasn't taped. It wasn't locked. It was like it was waiting, begging to be opened. Inside was a phone. Not mine. Not my granddaughter's. Not the landline. A phone I had never seen before. A plain black smartphone with no case, no stickers, nothing personal. But one thing stood out. There was a thin layer of dust under it, and none on it. Meaning it had been placed there recently. My heart hammered so loud I thought it would break the wooden floor beneath me. I pressed the power button with the edge of my nail. Turned on. The lock screen was just a black background with a single line of text. "If you're here, it's time." I couldn't breathe. My throat felt tight, like someone invisible had fingers wrapped around it. Who wrote that? Who knew I would come up here? Who knew I found the tape? I swiped up, half terrified it would unlock, half terrified it wouldn't. It opened. No password. Just the home screen. But there were only 2 apps. Gallery. Voice notes. Nothing else. I felt my fingers hover over the first one. But something inside me whispered, "Not yet. Start with the voice notes." So I tapped. There were exactly 3 recordings. Each labeled with a date. Each date only days apart. All from years ago, around the time my daughter passed. But the titles, oh dear child, the titles made my knees weaken. 1. The night before. 2. The truth she hid. 3. If anything happens to me. My eyes stung. My throat tightened. My hands felt like ice. I clicked the first one. Static buzzed for a second, then, "Mom, it's me." Her voice. My baby girl's voice. The attic spun. I had to grip the rocking chair just to stay steady. She kept talking. "I know you'll find this someday. I know you'll try to understand. I just hope I still have the chance to explain it to you myself. But if I don't, then you need to listen carefully." My breath turned to glass inside my chest. What happened wasn't an accident. And it wasn't what you think. My hand flew to my mouth. A sob slipped out without my permission. Someone was watching us. Someone was following me. And I found out something. Something I shouldn't have. The attic suddenly felt too small. Like the shadows were closing in around me. "Mom, if anything happens to me, don't trust." The recording cut abruptly. Cut. Not ended naturally. Cut. Instantly I tapped the second one. It started with frantic breathing, her breathing. Panicked. Running. Doors slamming. I tried to tell them. I tried to warn everyone, but no one believed me. Then I heard footsteps behind her. Heavy, fast, getting closer. Please, please just stay away from the house until I figure this out. And if anyone asks about that night. Static swallowed the last words. Gone. Cut again. I felt my pulse pounding in my ears. My daughter running? Afraid? Chased? Why didn't I know this? Why didn't anyone tell me this? My entire body shook as I pressed the final recording. The one labeled "If anything happens to me." There was no breathing when it started. No footsteps. No panic. Just her voice. Soft. Slow. Resigned. Mom. This might be my last message. My knees buckled. I dropped to the attic floor. There's something hidden in the house. Something he left behind. And someday you'll have to show it to her, so she can know the truth. So she can be safe. He. Who was he? My husband? Someone else? The last line made my blood freeze. Mom. Don't open the box in the attic unless she's in danger. And if you're listening to this, she is. The recording ended. But the darkness around me didn't. For the first time in years, I felt truly painfully terrifyingly afraid for my granddaughter. And I knew. This wasn't just a mystery. This was a warning. A countdown. A trap. Someone was coming. And I, a trembling old grandmother, was the only one left who could stop it. Child, I wish I could tell you I stayed strong after hearing those recordings. But no. My hands were shaking so violently the phone almost slipped out of my fingers. My daughter, my sweet girl, had been running from something. Someone. And I never knew. That shame, it crawled down my spine like ice. The attic suddenly felt alive around me, breathing, listening. The rocking chair behind me creaked softly, as if someone invisible had just sat down. I whispered into the dark. What did you get yourself into, baby? But the silence answered back, heavier than before. I picked up the phone again. Something he left behind, my daughter had said. And then, show it to her. Her last request. Her last words. Show what to my granddaughter? I stood up, bones trembling, and scanned the attic. Boxes pushed aside, the old suitcase, dusty trunks, broken shelves. Nothing looked like a box someone left behind. Nothing looked dangerous or important except, my eyes fell on a wooden chest. Not old like the others. Not dusty. Not forgotten. This one was clean. Polished. Placed neatly in the center of the attic like a centerpiece. And I swear to you, child, I swear, when I looked at it, something deep inside me whispered, this is it. The chest had no lock, no hinges, no marks. Just smooth wood and a single carving on top. A small symbol I hadn't seen in decades. A circle broken in the middle. A symbol my husband once told me never to touch. My heartbeat slowed. Then sped. Then pounded. I knelt in front of it. Ran my fingers over the symbol. Cold. Like metal in winter. But the moment my skin touched it, I smelled something. His cologne. My husband's cologne. A scent that shouldn't exist anymore. A scent I buried with him. I gasped and pulled my hand back. No, that's impossible. But the scent grew stronger. Deeper. As if he were standing behind me. I didn't dare turn around. I lifted the lid with one finger. Just one. The chest opened with a soft hiss. Like air escaping after being trapped for years. Inside was a book. A thick leather-bound book wrapped in twine. And beneath it a small key. I reached for the book first. The moment I touched it, the rain outside struck the window harder. Thunder rumbled. The rocking chair thumped against the floor. Every sound in the attic tightened around me. The book was heavier than it looked. Warm. Almost like it had been in someone's hands moments ago. I slid the twine off and opened to the first page. It wasn't my handwriting. It wasn't my husband's. It wasn't my daughter's. It was someone else. Someone who knew us. Someone who had been watching us. Someone who wrote in a shaky, uneven script. To the one who finds this, you are in grave danger. I felt my throat close. The next page. The man you trusted the most has been living a double life. My breath stopped. My hands went cold. The attic blurred. No, this couldn't be true. Not him. Not my husband. He was gentle. Kind. A man who worked late nights, traveled often, kept secrets, yes, but harmless ones, or so I believed. I flipped the next page with trembling fingers. He kept a secret that your daughter discovered. That's why she ran. That's why they came for her. The words felt like needles stabbing through my skin. They came for her. Who were they? What did they want? Why our family? I turned another page. A photograph slipped out. When it hit the floor, I froze. Slowly, very slowly. Picked it up. It was a picture of my husband, standing in front of a building I had never seen. Not smiling. Not relaxed. Not the man I knew. Instead, he looked serious, cold, focused. And beside him was a woman, her hand on his arm. A woman I recognized instantly. My daughter. But not as a child. As an adult. As the woman who died. I staggered backward, nearly tripping over a box. What was this? Why were they together? Why hadn't she told me? I turned the photo around. On the back, in the same shaky handwriting, were 4 words. She knew his truth. My heart cracked open. Tears slid down my face. My daughter, my baby. What truth did you discover? Lightning struck outside. The attic flashed white for a split second. And in that instant I saw something move behind me. A shadow. Tall. Still. Watching. I spun around. Nothing. But the rocking chair was swinging harder now. Not lightly. Not gently. As if someone had shoved it. No, I whispered. Stop. Not now. But the house wasn't listening. It was awakening. I grabbed the book, the photo, the key, and the strange phone, stuffed them into my cardigan, and rushed toward the attic steps. Halfway down, a sound echoed behind me. A footstep. Not a creak. Not a settling board. A deliberate step. Then another. Coming toward me. Slow, steady, heavy. I didn't look back. I couldn't. I ran down the stairs. Yes, at my age I ran, and nearly stumbled into the hallway. My vision blurred. My chest felt tight. My breath wouldn't stay steady. But I made it to my granddaughter's room. I flung the door open. Empty. Her window open. Curtains blowing. Her blanket on the floor. I whispered her name. Nothing. I whispered again, my voice cracking. Still nothing. A cold terror washed over me, swallowing my knees, my arms, my chest. My daughter's last message echoed in my head. Mom, she's in danger. I lifted the photo with shaking fingers and stared at the faces in it. My husband. My daughter. A connection neither had ever told me about. Then I whispered to the empty room. Baby, where did they take you? And child. As I spoke those words, the phone in my pocket buzzed. I pulled it out. One new notification. No number. No name. Just one message. You're too late. My heart stopped. The world went silent. And that's when I finally realized, this wasn't just about the past anymore. Someone was here. Someone was watching. And someone wanted my granddaughter, just like they wanted my daughter. Child, I pray your heart can handle what I am about to say, because even now, after everything, I still feel my bones shaking when I remember this night. My granddaughter was gone. My daughter's voice echoed in that attic like a dying candle flame. And the phone, that cursed, cold, impossible phone, had just told me, you're too late. But I refused to believe it. A grandmother's love does not end when the world becomes dark. It does not stop when the past claws its way back. And it does not fail, not when a child's life is hanging in the balance. I stood there in my granddaughter's empty bedroom, breathing like someone had punched the air out of my chest. The curtains whipped from the open window as if pointing somewhere, guiding me. The storm outside roared louder, almost pushing me forward. And then, a sound, soft, small, coming from down the hallway. A sniffle, a sob. I turned slowly. Baby, I whispered. No answer. But another soft sob echoed from the old storage room. The room no one used. The room my husband always kept locked. The room I had avoided for decades. My knees nearly gave out. I grabbed the wall to steady myself and moved toward the room. Every step felt heavier. The air colder. The shadows deeper. The doorknob was unlocked. For the first time in years. My hand trembled as I turned it. Inside was darkness. Total darkness. I stepped in. Sweetheart, if you're in here, speak to me. A soft voice whispered back. Grandma. My heart exploded with relief and terror all at once. Baby, I'm here. I'm right here. I tried to rush toward the voice, but suddenly the door slammed shut behind me. Hard. I spun around and banged on it, but it didn't move. It felt like something was holding it closed. I turned back into the darkness, whispering, "It's okay. I'm here." Then another voice spoke. Not hers. A man's. Deep. Calm. Too close. "You never were supposed to find that box." My blood went cold. My legs froze. My skin pricked with fear. And out of the shadows, a silhouette stepped forward. Tall. Broad. Familiar. My breath caught in my throat. No, it couldn't be. But the voice, the walk, posture, it was my husband, the man I buried, the man I mourned, the man I loved, standing in front of me alive, or something like alive. His face was half hidden in shadow, but I could see enough. The same jawline, the same shoulders, the same cold look he had in that photograph with our daughter. I felt my heart begging to tear itself out of my chest. "You," I whispered. "You're dead." He stepped closer, his boots creaking on the wooden floor. "No," he said. "You just believed what they told you." And so did she. My knees buckled. You were alive all this time? Watching us. Watching your granddaughter." He didn't answer. Instead he said, "You should have stayed out of the attic." My granddaughter whimpered in the darkness behind him. I tried to move toward her, but his arm shot out, blocking my path. "Don't," he warned. For a moment I saw something in his eyes, something hollow, something dangerous, something not quite human anymore. "Why?" I whispered. "Why did you take her? Why did you hide the truth? What did our daughter discover?" His jaw tightened. His voice softened like he was speaking to a child. "She got curious. Just like you. She found out where I worked. Who I worked for. She didn't listen when I told her to stop." He inhaled slowly. "She wasn't supposed to open the door that night." My head pounded. "What door? What did you do to her?" He didn't blink. "She chose to run instead of trust me." I felt my nails dig into my palm. "My daughter died terrified, and you let it happen?" He looked away, silent. And for the first time in years I saw guilt in those eyes. Real guilt. "She wasn't meant to die," he said finally. "I tried to protect her, until they came for her." "They?" I demanded. "Who are they?" He stepped closer, his face inches from mine, and whispered, "The same ones who came for me." My throat closed. You weren't working for the government, were you?" He shook his head once. Slow. Heavy. And everything clicked at once. The secret trips. The phone calls. The late nights. The locked room. He wasn't a government agent. He wasn't a traveler. He was hiding. From people darker than the shadows in that attic. My voice trembled. "Why take our granddaughter?" His eyes softened. "To finish what her mother started." Then he stepped aside. And there she was, my sweet girl, tied loosely to a chair, tears streaking down her cheeks. "Grandma." Her voice broke as she sobbed. I rushed forward, ignoring his warnings. "Sweetheart, I'm here. I'm here." I held her face, kissing her forehead, brushing her hair back. But then, a bang. Crash. Boots. Voices. Shouting. Someone was in the house. The door behind us blasted open so violently it nearly ripped off the hinges. Black figures stormed in, masks, boots, weapons. My granddaughter screamed. My husband jerked forward. I grabbed her and covered her with my body as shadows and noise exploded around us. One of the masked men shouted, "Stand down. It's over." My husband stepped protectively in front of us. "It's not over," he growled. "You won't take her." Another voice shouted back. "She's not yours to take. The girl chooses, just like her mother chose." My breath stopped. My daughter chose? What did she choose? Why? Before I could make sense of it, my husband turned to me one last time. His voice broke. "Take her and run." "What?" I cried. "No, I'm not leaving you again." He grabbed my arms hard enough to hurt. "Go. Go now." And then, he pushed us out the door. I stumbled, pulling my granddaughter tight against me as masked men swarmed him. He didn't fight. Not really. He simply stood there, letting them take him. Almost like he wanted to. The last thing I heard before I fled down the hallway, my granddaughter sobbing in my arms, was his voice shouting, "Keep her away from the attic. Keep her safe." And then, gunshot. Silence. My heart shattered. My granddaughter cried into my chest as I carried her outside into the rain. We fled that night. We never went back. And child, I need you to understand something very important. Some truths are not meant to be discovered. Some secrets are buried because they protect the people we love. And some stories like mine must be whispered only once. My daughter died trying to save her little girl. My husband died trying to save us both. And me? I'm just a trembling old grandmother, telling you my truth, so you never make the same mistake.